Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video on the Road to Scratch. This is an on the range session number 10. And before I get started with explaining what I'm working on right now, do me a favor, if you want to follow along this journey, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you know exactly when I'm out there on the range or on the course and working on my swing. Hopefully, whatever I'm working on and figuring out will help and benefit people that are watching these videos as well. That's kind of the hope. So please do that solid for me. And if you like the video, hit that thumbs up on the way out. All right, here I am on the range after several videos on the course, working through my swing, working through course management and scoring. And the biggest caveat right now is my handicap's actually going up, not down. I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to be multi-successful in this in like months and months, but I have posted some bigger scores, and that is because of what I'm actually trying to get to in my swing, and I'll explain that in a minute. But you haven't caught those other videos on the course, go hit those videos up, check them out. You can kind of follow along in my misery and my success on the course. So right now I'm just hitting some pitching wedges, and in this session what I'm actually working on is through impact. I'm trying to just use one input for my golf swing right now. I think I was in the middle of trying to work on too many things at once. And although this technically is two inputs, the input I'm working on, if you see what I'm kind of rehearsing here, is I'm trying to get my left wrist bowed on the way through impact. It is actually the longest time I've struggled with cupping my wrist through impact and then rolling it at the last minute, or like a really weird way of flipping it, but my wrist will roll down and square the club face last second. That's definitely timing-wise not a good thing, and it's certainly affecting the way I'm playing on the course because it is not consistent. In my other videos, I talked about all the different ways I'm trying to get that left wrist bowed through impact, and my input here is just from the top of the swing. I just really feel like it's rolling down, almost like my left wrist is bowing on top of the ball through impact. The other thing I've discovered, I was kind of falling back on some stuff, I tend to get a little bit bent over too much on for my hips. Sorry for the airplane there. And what that does is, if I'm not standing tall enough, which is what I'm working on this range session too, is my address position, is standing taller and not bent over as much, I get top heavy like anybody does, and our center of gravity is at our hips. So if we tend to bend over too much from the hips at address, it will not allow you to rotate through the ball. If you can't rotate through the ball, you can do all the fun stuff with trying to get that club face squared by getting that left wrist bowed, but it won't sequence up to anything else that I'm trying to work on. And what that means is, if I'm bowing my wrist through impact, it'll help me with my rotation through the ball. My body will figure out that's squaring the club face. But if I'm too bent over and top heavy at address, then my body's going to want to correct that on the way through impact. And the way to correct that through impact is actually standing back up. So my hips will tend to move up towards the ball, like into the ball, and not stay away from me through impact as I'm rotating, which actually stops the rotation. So I'm somewhere in between on all this stuff right now, but really what I'm saying is I'm trying to work on this one input, which is really just rolling my wrist into a bowed position, or it feels like, my feel is, it's rolling down on top of the ball through impact. Obviously that's not what's really happening, but in sequence with that, I'm trusting that my body will figure out the rest. So if you can see where I'm trying to bow it there, the rest of my body's going to continue to rotate through impact, as opposed to stalling out lower body and then more of a flip action, which I've been struggling with for a long time. So although I'm not there, it's getting a little bit better. My address position was a lot better. I was actually standing a lot taller even with this pitching wedge here, and it was definitely having a decent effect on my input and result. So kind of a long-winded explanation of what I'm doing, but two things: stand taller at address, don't bend over so much, or it's very uncomfortable for me, but I realized I was really starting to get bent over, and that was creating that top heavy action through on the downswing, which makes me stand up and move into the ball, which you can see I did right there. So if I can work on really feeling not only just the left wrist, but kind of my right wrist, kind of like my trail hand kind of rolling with it, where I'm in a bow position and impact. I know with enough work that my lower body will say, oh, all I have to do is continue to rotate towards the target because we're square. I don't have to stop so you can give you time to flip to square the club face. I can just allow the rotation to continue, and we're square through impact. So let's take a look at some other shots here. All right, moving on up to 5-wood. This is one of my clubs I use a lot off the tee, especially as I'm working through this input, which is definitely a struggle for me. My miss right now, if I'm in between my old swing and my new swing, is going to be a big duck hook. And that's because my lower body will stall out as I'm kind of getting more bowed and squared up with my hands early on in the downswing, not late. And what that does is just hit a nice smothered hook. Or at the very, very minimum, I'm trying to fix it and try and hold on to it a little bit, and I actually end up pulling a lot of shots. But this is my club off the tee to put me in the fairway. Between this, my wedges, and my driver, all I'm doing is rehearsing this input and practicing this input with those clubs. I'm really not working on too many other irons because I want to be able to dial tee balls and everything inside 140 yards. The rest is going to come as is. I'm actually even playing a couple tee boxes up right now. I generally tend to play the tips to torture myself on any course that I play, but I have gotten to the point now where if I want to actually get into the scratch category and even to the plus category, not only am I have to really get dialed in with these specific clubs, but I need to learn how to be comfortable scoring on the course and not put some good scores up and then feel uncomfortable or out of place and then easily throw a big number up in between, which is the main culprit of what's making my average scores go up. So just to kind of recap, I was about a 4.2 at the end of last fall, go into the Colorado winter and work on some things. Don't get it obviously on any course play. It's just hitting into nets and simulators and stuff. And then get back out in the spring as much as you can. The scoring suffers, the short game suffers, the putting suffers when you can't practice those things. So for me, it's getting these clubs that are really I consider the scoring clubs, the wedges and the tee balls, the 5-wood and the driver, and get those dialed with the swing, and then go trust my short game. If I can do this input with these clubs, I can do it with any iron in the bag for sure. So with all that being said, right now I'm about a 5.5. So I've gone up a fair amount with the scores I'm posting. Most of that coming from going out on the course and really trying to focus on just creating that input and not worried about results or score, but really focused on making that swing and trusting that swing. And if the result doesn't happen, oh well. I've just got to keep moving through this motion until I get it, because that's the consistency I need to get to my goal of becoming a scratch golfer. A few of these got better, but I will say that running these back in slow motion or in frame sequence, I am still seeing, as I'm running through the downswing, my left wrist is still fairly cupped in some swings, which means the club face is pretty wide open. Doesn't look like that in my rehearsal. And I have to roll that down really quickly to square the club face and actually hit a semi-straight ball. So you can see how some of these are coming out a little bit right of target and moving back. That one just hung out. But some of them are actually being pulled from the target, which means I know I'm still cupping my wrist. All right, moving on to driver. So I want to make a note here that I have moved away from my Stealth 2. I just don't like that driver. I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like the way it sits over the ball. And with all the mental stuff that I'm struggling with golf-wise, I have gone back to an old driver that's older than Instagram. It might even be older than some people watching these videos. It's a Callaway X-Hot, and my dad gave it to me a long time ago. And it's just been hanging out in the basement, and I actually decided to put it back in the bag for now until I figure out what driver I actually want to hit. But I really don't care right now until I get to a point with my swing that I like what I'm doing with it, and then I can go start looking for drivers. With all that being said, I'm actually hitting this thing pretty decent considering I'm not at the point I want to be with my swing. The shaft flex is a regular flex, so I really sometimes I'll get this little kick point where it kind of kicks the ball up into the air higher. It's a 9.5 degree driver, but sometimes it gets real spinny. Again, it's the user right now, not the tool. I mean, just as a reference, Jack Nicklaus used the same persimmon 3-wood from the mid-50s until the early 80s, and he supposedly only regripped that thing one time too. So at the end of the day, get the swing dialed, then go find a club. Iron-wise, that could be a little bit different, but as far as the driver goes, I'm playing this thing until I can figure out this swing. So that input gets dialed in. I'm where I want to be impact-wise, position-wise, body-wise. Then I will go shopping. Until then, it's going to be the old Callaway until the head falls off. All right, so let's go over some points here. That's what the impact position I'm looking for, okay? That is rotation through the ball. That is bowed wrist, square club face, exiting properly. That swing is not. That is a result of cuppy wrist, rotate late, bow late, and lose the ball right. All right, other club off the tee 4-iron. Okay, I have to work on these. There's a lot of holes on my local course even where I should be probably hitting 4-iron off the tee if I want to actually score. I am working on this because it helps me visualize how to rotate and get that wrist to bow and exit correctly through the ball. Again, one input. One input creates all the motions I'm trying to rehearse and get to. All right, again, there's the impact position I'm looking for. And now we're going to roll it. And we're going to slow it down so you can see the impact position I am currently at most of the time. All right, so let's run this slow-mo and you guys can see what I am dealing with. So takeaway is pretty good right about there. The club stays square. Hands start to turn up and behind me. Wrist looks pretty good there, left wrist, and then it starts to cup just a smidge. Now on the way down, watch this. Body stops to rotating, cup wrist there, and then I flip quickly at the end to try and recover. That is not the rehearsed impact position. And as a result, I caught this one slightly in the heel. It starts out about over the target, and then it actually fades a smidge, so I miss to the right of my target. All right, let's roll one more of these 4-irons. Same thing, pretty much same swing. Cupped is there. On the way down, you can see that cup. Not as bad on the way down, but because my lower body does not want to continue to rotate, it slows down. You can see that ball flight starts left of target and then continues to turn left of target. So kind of a pull hook with that one. All right, a couple more 4-irons at full speed as we go over the bullet points of the things I was working on. Stand tall. Input on the way down is bowing and rolling that wrist down through impact, which should in turn actually rotate my lower body. I got in a little conversation with the guy next to me. It was really, really humid that day, which is rare for Colorado.
I can take a shower already.
Again, rehearsing that roll down. When I rehearse it, my body really wants to go ahead and just react and roll through impact. That's squaring everything up and in sequence.
That's what I can't stand is when my hands
You know, luckily mine aren't horrible, but I just feel it like everywhere else.
Oh, okay.
My pants are wet. Kind of a mess.
Yeah, I was real sweaty. So, covering once again, stand tall. Rotating through impact is going to be caused by the input of that rolling down of the left wrist and right hand, lead the trail hand following as well. It is a struggle. It's continuing to be a work in progress, but I will say this. All that being said, and I'm not where I'm at, my misses are getting better and better. My misses are much more playable and allow me to score on the course. So the next video I posted is 9 holes in an evening play during some wind and rain, and although I didn't hit the ball great, still shot 39 on the front with a double bogey on a par 5. All right, a few more drivers here as I wrap up the video. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Please consider subscribing to the channel so you can catch those videos I was just talking about, including the most recent one, that late 9 holes where I felt progress with the short game for sure. It actually helped me score. And a couple of the other on-course videos, including the Blondie Tees, which is a full 18-hole video that we posted in 2 9-hole sections here pretty soon, which was me playing with my wife from the tees she normally plays from as an experiment to see how I would score from those tees. So, fun video. Make sure you subscribe to check those out. And until next time, dudes and dudettes, keep grinding. Later.